The global pesticide industry is worth $108 billion. That number depends entirely on you believing one thing, that pests cannot be controlled without their products. But there is a community in America that has been proving them wrong for 300 years. The Amish do not buy pesticides. They do not need them. They make a spray in their kitchens that does what billion-dollar chemicals cannot. It actually works, permanently. Here's the part that should make you angry. This formula is not new. It was documented in 1787. Over 200 years ago, scientists knew that soap-based sprays destroy soft-bodied insects by dissolving their protective coating. The research exists, the evidence exists, the results exist, but research does not generate shareholder profits. Your ignorance does. Every year, Americans dump 80 million pounds of synthetic pesticides on their lawns, and every year they need more, because the pests adapt. The chemicals stop working, and you buy again. The Amish spray has not changed in 300 years. Neither have the results. Let me tell you something that the chemical industry hopes you never understand. Insects have been on this planet for 385 million years. Humans have been farming for roughly 12,000. In that time, we have tried everything. The ancient Sumerians used sulfur 2,000 years before Christ was born. The Chinese discovered botanical insecticides and wood ash around 1200 BC. The Romans burned sulfur as fumigants and used hellebore to control body lice. For thousands of years, humans managed pests using what nature provided. And then something changed. In 1939, a Swiss chemist discovered that DDT could kill insects. By 1942, it was being mass-produced for military use. By 1945, it was available to civilians. And the marketing machine told the world that everything we knew about pest control was obsolete. DDT was supposed to be the final solution, the insecticide that would end all insect problems forever. Within a few years, houseflies in Sweden developed complete resistance to it. By the 1950s, DDT resistance was spreading across the globe. By 1972, the United States banned DDT entirely. Not because it stopped working, but because it had poisoned the environment, accumulated in human tissue, and created a generation of insects that could not be killed by the very chemical designed to eliminate them. Here's what the pesticide industry does not want you to know. This pattern has repeated with every major synthetic chemical introduced since DDT. Today, more than 600 species of insects have developed resistance to pesticides. Not 60, 600. And that number grows every year. Think about what that means. The industry spent billions developing chemicals specifically designed to kill these insects, and the insects evolve faster than the laboratories could keep up. Each time you spray a synthetic pesticide, you kill the weak insects. The strong ones survive. They breed, and their offspring inherit that resistance. This is not a theory. This is documented science that the industry has known about for decades. The first recorded case of pesticide resistance was in 1908, when San Jose scale became immune to lime sulfur. That was over 100 years ago. And instead of changing the approach, the industry simply developed new chemicals. Stronger chemicals, more toxic chemicals, and the cycle continued. Meanwhile, the Amish have been using the same formula since their ancestors arrived in Pennsylvania in 1720. I need you to understand something about the Amish approach to pest control, because it is fundamentally different from what you have been taught. When Samuel Zook, a fifth-generation Amish farmer in Lancaster County, describes chemical pesticides, he uses a phrase that should make you pause. He calls it chemical warfare, because that is exactly what it is. You're not managing pests. You're waging war on your own soil. Every time you spray a synthetic pesticide, you kill more than the target insect. You kill the predators that would naturally control those pests, ladybugs that eat aphids, wasps that destroy hornworms, beneficial mites that keep spider mites in check, the entire ecosystem that nature designed to maintain balance. Zook described a moment that changed his entire approach to farming. He had hornworms in his tomatoes. His instinct, developed through years of conventional farming, was to spray immediately. But he waited, and within days, wasps appeared and killed the hornworms naturally. No chemicals, no residue, no resistance. That is the difference between the Amish approach and the industrial approach. One works with nature, the other works against it. Let me give you the actual science behind the 300-year-old Amish spray. The formula is based on what scientists call insecticidal soap. The active ingredient is potassium salts of fatty acids. That is a technical way of saying soap made from natural oils and a potassium base. When this solution contacts soft-bodied insects like aphids, whiteflies, spider mites, and mealybugs, it does three things. First, it dissolves the waxy protective coating on the insect's body. This coating is what keeps the insect from losing water. Without it, the insect dehydrates. Second, it disrupts the cell membranes of the insect. The cell contents leak out, and the insect dies. Third, it can block the insect's breathing openings, leading to suffocation. The key difference between this mechanism and synthetic pesticides is critical. Soap does not work through neurological poisoning or hormonal disruption. It works through physical contact, And because of this, insects cannot develop resistance to it the same way they develop resistance to chemicals. This is not a minor distinction. This is the reason the Amish formula has worked for 300 years, while synthetic chemicals fail within a decade. Here is the basic recipe that has been documented in agricultural literature for over 2 centuries. 2½ tablespoons of pure liquid soap. Castile soap works best because it is made from vegetable oils and potassium hydroxide, which is the traditional lye used for centuries. Mix this with 2½ tablespoons of vegetable oil. Add both to 1 gallon of warm water. Shake thoroughly. That is the foundation. If you want additional protection, you can add what traditional farmers have used for generations: 1 teaspoon of ground cayenne pepper. This contains capsaicin, which repels many insects before they even land on your plants. 1 teaspoon of minced garlic steeped overnight. The sulfur compounds in garlic are natural repellents. 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. This creates an acidic environment that many pests avoid. Strain any solid materials before spraying. Apply in early morning or evening, never during the heat of the day. Spray until the entire plant is wet, including the undersides of leaves where many pests hide. Reapply every 4 to 7 days or after rain. The total cost is less than $3. A commercial pesticide with similar effectiveness costs $60 or more, and the commercial version will stop working within a few seasons as the pests adapt. Now, let me explain why you have never been told about this. The pesticide industry in the United States is worth approximately $9 billion annually for agricultural use alone. When you add home and garden products, lawn care chemicals, and professional pest control services, that number exceeds $40 billion. That entire revenue stream depends on one assumption: that you need their products. Consider what happens if American homeowners discovered that a $3 kitchen spray could replace their $60 pesticide purchases. Consider what happens if farmers realized that their great-grandparents' methods actually outperform modern chemicals over the long term. Consider what happens to a $100 billion global industry if the solution costs pennies. The research proving insecticidal soaps work has been publicly available for over 200 years. Colorado State University has published extension bulletins on it. The University of Florida has documented the history. The Old Farmer's Almanac has been printing recipes for generations. But when was the last time you saw a commercial for soap spray during a gardening show? When was the last time a chemical company representative mentioned that your grandmother's recipe might work better than their latest formulation? The information is not hidden. It is simply not profitable to share. I want to address something important because I refuse to lie to you the way advertisements do. Insecticidal soap is not a magic solution that solves every pest problem instantly. It works best on soft-bodied insects: aphids, whiteflies, spider mites, mealybugs, thrips, young-scale insects. These are the pests that cause most problems in home gardens. It does not work well on hard-bodied insects or beetles. It has limited effectiveness against caterpillars, and it only works on direct contact. If the soap does not wet the insect survives. This means you have to apply it correctly. You have to spray thoroughly. You have to repeat applications. You have to pay attention to your plants instead of spraying once and forgetting about them. But here is what I want you to understand. The limitations of soap spray are honest limitations. The spray works when it contacts pests. It does not pretend to create a toxic barrier that kills everything for weeks. Synthetic pesticides promise season-long protection, but they deliver resistance, environmental contamination, and a cycle of ever-increasing chemical dependency. Soap spray promises nothing except that it will kill what it touches. And it has delivered on that promise for 300 years. There is something else the Amish understand that modern agriculture has forgotten. Pest control is not about killing insects. It is about creating conditions where your plants can defend themselves. John Kempf was an 18-year-old Amish farmer in Ohio when he nearly lost his family, his farm to pest problems that chemicals could not solve. Instead of buying stronger pesticides, he spent 2 years studying plant biology. What he discovered changed everything. Healthy plants produce compounds that are toxic to pests. Their immune systems, when functioning properly, make them unattractive targets. The reason modern crops are so vulnerable to insects is not because the insects are stronger. It is because the plants are weaker. Modern agriculture uses fertilizers designed to maximize yield. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, the big three. But plants need more than 3 nutrients to maintain healthy immune systems. They need trace minerals: zinc, iodine, manganese, boron. Without these micronutrients, plants cannot produce the defensive compounds that evolution designed them to create. This is why Amish farms often have fewer pest problems, even before they spray anything. The soil is healthier, the plants are stronger, and the ecosystem includes natural predators that chemical farms have eliminated. Let me tell you about the economics of chemical dependency. The average American household spends over $600 annually on lawn and garden care. A significant portion of that goes to pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers designed to compensate for the damage caused by previous applications. Each time you spray a synthetic pesticide, you kill beneficial insects along with the pests. The beneficial insects are often more susceptible to chemicals than the pests they control. So you spray once and you kill the ladybugs that were eating your aphids. Next month, the aphids return. But the ladybugs do not, so you spray again. And the cycle continues. This is not accidental. This is a business model. The pesticide industry does not profit from solutions. It profits from dependency. A product that works permanently is a product that sells once. A product that creates the conditions for its own necessity sells forever. The Amish spray breaks this cycle. Because it does not kill beneficial insects at the same rate as pests, the natural predators survive. Over time, your garden develops its own pest control system. You spray less, not more. The opposite of what chemical companies want. I want to share the historical context that has been systematically erased from agricultural education. When the first Amish families arrived in Pennsylvania around 1720, they brought farming knowledge developed over centuries in Europe. They settled in Lancaster County and surrounding areas, established communities, and began farming using methods that had worked for generations. They did not have synthetic chemicals. They did not have pressure sprayers designed for mass application. They had soap made from animal fat and wood ash lye. They had garlic and hot peppers from their gardens. They had observation skills developed through generations of working the same land. For 200 years before DDET existed, these methods protected their crops. Not perfectly, not effortlessly, but effectively. The industrial agriculture revolution of the 20th century was marketed as progress, better living through chemistry. But it was also an erasure. Traditional knowledge was dismissed as primitive. Time-tested methods were labeled as insufficient, and an entire generation was taught that their grandparents did not know how to farm. The Amish never received that message. They continued using methods that worked, and today, while conventional farmers face 600 species of resistant pests, Amish communities use the same formulas they used 3 centuries ago. Here is what I want you to do with this information. First, make the spray. It takes 15 minutes. The ingredients cost less than your coffee this morning. Test it on a small section of your garden before applying widely, because some plants are sensitive to soap solutions. Avoid spraying during hot afternoons when the solution can damage leaves. Second, observe your garden. Notice which insects are actually causing damage and which are simply present. Many insects in your garden are beneficial or neutral. You do not need to kill everything that moves. Third, build soil health. Add compost, reduce synthetic fertilizer dependency. The healthier your soil, the healthier your plants, and the less attractive they become to pests. Fourth, protect beneficial insects. If you see ladybugs, leave them alone. If you see lacewing larvae, celebrate. These creatures will do more pest control than any spray you can buy. Fifth, be patient. The chemical approach promises immediate results because that is what sells products. The traditional approach requires observation, adjustment, and trust in systems that have worked for millennia. The pesticide industry will tell you this is naive. They will tell you that modern agriculture faces challenges that traditional methods cannot address. They will tell you that feeding the world requires chemical intervention. But the Amish are feeding their families. They are selling produce at farmers markets across the country. They are maintaining soil health that has lasted for 300 years. And they are using a spray that costs $3 while you spend $60. The question is not whether this method works. The historical record proves that it does. The question is why you were never taught about it. And once you understand the answer to that question, you start to see the entire agricultural industry differently. $108 billion depends on your ignorance. 80 million pounds of synthetic pesticides dumped on American lawns every year depends on you never making a 15-minute kitchen spray. 3 centuries of results sit in historical records, university extension bulletins, and Amish communities across Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. The information has always been there. Now you have it too.